With all of the talk about Alex Jones being kicked off of Facebook and Twitter and Apple and everything else, I forgot all the entire list, I thought this would be something that my audience would be interested in hearing, talking about how both Telesur and Venezuela Analysis have suffered the same fate. However, while going through the research of this, I came across a very interesting fact on Venezuela Analysis, and it'll show you clearly that our enemy isn't left versus right. We are being pitted against each other by a much larger group of people that have a narrative that they want to create for the world. And I'm going to show you those facts right now. Now, this is Venezuela Analysis, and it talks about, or excuse me, this is RT, apologies. This is RT talking about Facebook vanishing Telesur. But here they also mention about Venezuela Analysis being taken down as well. Now, I went to Venezuela Analysis. The idea here was going to be this, is that even though this happened, if you go look at Telesur, Telesur is not so narcissistic as to even lead with that. They continue to report things that are happening in the world. Same thing with Venezuela Analysis. But one of those things being reported on Venezuela Analysis is this. Pentagon, Brazil should lead solution to Venezuela crisis. Now, let's go to my channel. This is 14 August. I'm going to zoom in up here so you can see it. And you can find this for yourself. 14 August at 1:15 in the morning. I just couldn't sleep. And so I got up and did a video on this. And this video talks about how the U.S. goes down to these war games that they conduct in Central America all the time and doesn't win. You would think we would, and at one time we would have. But jungle training has gone by the wayside in the U.S. military. And in this particular one I speak of here, 9 out of the last 14 years we've lost to the Colombians. But at the end of the video, and this is that video right here, I talk about, because people have come to my channel and says, oh, you only talk about problems without solutions. I start talking about a solution. And I'll just let this play forward for you. In the world, right next to Venezuela, 45 and 46. And this is 2018. This takes into consideration all of the issues down there with the finances and everything, but there's another force down there. Now remember, the Colombians, okay, for 9 years out of 14 in jungle warfare exercises have beaten the U.S. I want to take you up here to another country. Way up here at number 14. Brazil. They are by far orders of magnitude so much more powerful than the Colombians. You could put Venezuela and Colombia together, and they wouldn't last a week against the Brazilians. This is our solution to that problem. We need to get these guys, get their government, get their problems squared away, and they could handle the issue in Colombia and Brazil, and they could handle it quickly. They have a very, very large, very, very well-trained force that could go in and clean house and fix that problem once and for all. I hate to put out problems and be Mr. Negative without solutions, so here's the solution. The Brazilians. Okay, that was this channel, 14 August, 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, here's the story. This is 14 August, 1:04 p.m. U.S. Pentagon, Brazil should lead solution to Venezuela crisis. Mattis went down there to speak with them. And down here, there is a statement that I think would probably stun a lot of you. In June, during Pence's visit, the U.S. highlighted Brazil's role in the U.S. offensive against Venezuela. Brazil has led efforts to expel Venezuela from Mercosur, joined the U.S. to suspend Venezuela from the OAS. Mattis also discussed U.S. use of Brazil's Alcantara missile and rocket launching bases. So if our Secretary of Defense is visiting Brazil and talking about the use of their assets, do you not think that we are planning an invasion? That it's not on the table? Now, this is being reported by Venezuela Analysis. This is a site that got shut down by Facebook. Now do you see the problem? It's not just Mr. Jones. It's places like this and places like Telesur that are reporting the reality on the ground that are getting suppressed. Now, one of the big arguments is that, well, the leadership of Venezuela doesn't really allow any voices of opposition. This is VPI TV. You can go here on YouTube. VPI, just like it sounds, Victor Papa India TV. They have 250,000 subscribers. They drop 12 videos a day. And you can see in these videos people in the streets of Venezuela, people that don't agree with the government of Venezuela, large groups of starving Venezuelans protesting. We covered this with this Requesens, his sister, and the guys that were standing out there in their underpants. We're not going to show you that again. That was bad enough the first time. But you don't see a hint of security forces anywhere. You don't see anybody being tear gassed. You don't see mass arrests. And to my knowledge, VPI TV hasn't seen any censorship whatsoever. And this is their version of our NPR, public TV. In fact, most of the video that was first put out by the Venezuelans regarding the assassination attempt came from VPI TV on YouTube. Now, this all having been said, the last 2 minutes, I want to ask a question. We have established in other videos, beyond the shadow of a reasonable doubt, that the U.S. leads the world in the production of oil. It's also leading the world in the export of oil. But one of the things that was covered on Venezuela Analysis, or was it RT? I'm sorry, RT, was this issue that I'm sure you haven't heard of out of Bahrain, where these girls were walking through this public pool, and there was no less than 2 or 3 dozen guys literally attempting to rip their clothes off. Now, the argument about being associated with some of these less than savory regimes in the Middle East was that, well, we need their oil. Clearly, we don't. With what we get from Mexico and what we get from Canada and what we produce here, we do not need to be importing oil from Saudi Arabia. Now, I'm going to turn this down, and I'm going to show you this. A lot of people have made the allegation, well, they're dressed inappropriately. These girls were not dressed even remotely inappropriately. They're wearing shorts and shirts. Now I ask you again, what is the reason we are still allied with countries that allow this? With countries that behead people, stone people, crucify people, all of which can be found very easily online. If you make the allegation it's oil, how do you jive that with this? If you look at the numbers, there is no reason with what we could be importing from Venezuela, what we get from Mexico, Canada, and what we produce here, there's absolutely zero reason we have to have any alliances with Saudi Arabia, with any of those, Yemen, UAE, any of those countries. It used to be the case, but it's not now. And if it weren't for places like RT, Venezuela Analysis, and Telesur, none of you would know this. And here in this little video they're showing down here, they talk about this. How we don't need these people. So we'll leave it there. But don't think it's a left-right thing. It's a truth versus constructed narrative thing. Like, share, subscribe.